Every warrior walks a different path. Samurai, the path of discipline. Ronin, the path of independence. Ninja, the path of strategy. Zen monk, the path of wisdom. Shogun, the path of power. But today, we explore the path of the Ronin. You are a hollow shell trying to fill your internal vacancy with the cheap praise of spectators. You are the validation addict. Every action you take, every milestone you broadcast, is designed to extract a nod of approval from a crowd you do not even respect. You call it networking. You call it sharing your journey. I call it a pathetic baseline spiritual vacancy that leaves you completely hollowed out from the inside. The philosophical paradox of your existence is deep. In a desperate bid to feel powerful, you have given complete ownership of your self-worth to complete strangers. There is an unresolved, chilling mystery to your performance, a toxic addiction to validation that forces you to constantly perform and optimize character instead of executing a real-world purpose. You think you are building a legacy. In truth, you are just an invisible actor trapped inside an ongoing psychological audition. The ancient standard of the Ronin demanded an absolute, terrifying independence. When a master warrior cut ties with historical structures, he did not look for a new crowd to applaud his freedom. He stepped into a pathless wilderness where his own internal law was his only compass. Modern decay has turned you into a fragile shapeshifter, adjusting your morals and your identity for whichever room guarantees the quickest dopamine fix. You try to cure an identity crisis with a stream of casual approval, completely blind to the reality that applause cannot fortify a rotting foundation. Miyamoto Musashi understood the lethal danger of external opinion. He did not spend his peak biological hours trying to impress the warlords or courtly circles of feudal Japan. The air around him hung heavy with the visceral scent of sea salt, cold damp sand, and wet pine needles. On the morning of his definitive duel on Ganryujima, he did not arrive on time to perform a theatrical display for the spectators. He deliberately arrived late, moving slowly in a wooden rowboat, carving a crude wooden sword from a spare oar, while the biting sea wind whipped against his weathered robes. His opponent, Sasaki Kojiro, was backed by the applause of high society patrons and perfect courtly form. Kojiro fought to defend a decorated reputation. Musashi fought with absolute terrifying self-mastery. The heavy, crushing strike of Musashi's raw wooden blade did not require a public validation score. It was a mechanical law executed in complete silence. He killed the internal narrator, ignored the gaze of the spectators, and won because his self-worth was anchored deep in reality, not opinion. Later in life, inside the damp, unyielding cold of Reigando Cave, the iron smell of aging steel and charcoal smoke filled his final days. He did not dictate a memoir to plea for historical validation. He wrote the Dokkodo, 21 Laws of Absolute Self-Reliance, leaving a clear code. Do not look for the approval of others, and do not regret what you have done. The mechanics of your failure are simple. You treat external praise like an existential fuel when it is actually an addictive poison. You are the validation addict because you use the applause of spectators as an emotional anesthesia to avoid looking at your own structural vacancy. When the quiet of the night arrives, your mind collapses into anxiety because you lack a single permanent value that runs independent of the crowd's reaction. To a Ronin, a mind that looks for permission is a broken weapon. You must sever the dependence, secure your perimeter, and build an unshakable inventory of actions executed entirely in the dark. Master the identity. You are looking for an escape right now because the medical precision of this bofeton burns through your curated image. Your thumb is twitching over the screen, searching for a notification, a comment, any cheap digital feedback to soothe the sting of your own internal exposure. That is your spiritual vacancy fighting desperately to keep you small. I do not care about your comfort zone. If you are satisfied being a hollow spectator in a life managed by the opinions of others, then leave. Return to your performances, your compliance, and your slow psychological erosion. But if you have even a fraction of healthy disgust left for the invisible ghost you have become, stay. Lock the gate. Choose the isolation. The path of weathered amber demands that you violently overwrite your dependency on approval. Stop begging for a crowd before you execute your vision. Enter the arena of your own life with complete, uncompromised humility, building your discipline so rigidly that public opinion becomes an irrelevant whisper. Let your unyielding self-sovereignty become a silent wall that breaks the expectations of ordinary men. The world effortlessly breaks those who live for its applause. It bends before the man who stands completely alone. Kill the applause. Own the solitude. Enforce the station. Become the master. Every warrior walks a different path. Samurai, the path of discipline. Ronin, the path of independence. Ninja, the path of strategy. Zen monk, the path of wisdom. Shogun, the path of power. Which one are you? Comment below.